All right. How's everyone doing? Mike's looking good. Happy to see Denny win, considering what's been going on earlier this season. Denny has been looking a lot more sporty as the season's been going on. I will say that. And I mean, he dominated the second half of this race. Though, probably should expect nothing less from Denny Hamlin, especially at a track like Martinsville. How does the mic sound, fellas? W in the chat if you guys can hear me with the mic. Everything is on. What do you think about the flag Hamlin showed? So I actually didn't see the flag. Josh with the W, thank the Lord. I didn't see the flag. I kind of just, as soon as the race ended, I kind of just came up here and was ready to hit record. So, maybe when we jump into what we're going to do at the beginning of this, there'll be something there. But, yeah, maybe I'll check on Twitter. We'll see exactly what flag you're talking about. Actually, let me go ahead right now and check. But while I'm doing that, folks, welcome to the Cutline. I'm your host, Armani DePaul. Again, Martinsville review. How's everyone doing today? I hope you guys are having a great day. We got to watch a pretty solid Martinsville race, all things considered. Where do I think this Cup race lands overall? Well, we'll talk about that later when we head into race weekend rankings. But before we get started, we got some new things for the show this week. And speaking of new, as we do almost every week, we have a new guest coming on here for the Cutline this week. He's a good friend of mine and saw him at Homestead this week. Seen him pretty much at every Florida race the past couple years. So let's bring on my boy Kevin, a.k.a. Nino from the Nino Sports Network. What's up, man? How you doing? And
what's going on?
I should also reiterate, fellow Larson fan.
Yes, Larson. Yeah, all day, every day. What's going on, man? Everything good?
Yeah, man. Everything is good. And, fortunately, no dub for Larson this week. We did get to see him last week, though, win at Homestead.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Yeah, so let's see what we got here. I'm trying to see exactly what flag Chelsea boy's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know what I immediately turned it off because obviously, we were waiting to, to the segment.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. In the meantime,
if it's an Ohio State one, then damn. He wanted to get on the Ohio State bandwagon now since, they won the national championship.
Oh, here's the flag. Ooh, that is nice. We'll show it when we get... Actually, let me see if I can show it really quick here to everyone.
Oh, wow.
That is nice.
11 against the world.
Yeah, that is really, really nice. That's
boy.
I like that. You see, I like when Denny gets a little cocky. I like when Denny gets cocky. Cocky Denny's good Denny.
That's what I'm saying. Like the whole... beat your favorite driver. I mean, as much as I didn't like it in the beginning, I was like, okay, I get where you're coming from. That's your slogan now. So yeah,
you have to.
Yeah. It's Denny.
Exactly. TKFK. I'm sorry with all the Tiska fuck. What's going on, man? How you doing? How did you enjoy the race? I thought it was a fairly solid race. Jesse the Grave Hunter. What's up, man? Hope you enjoyed that race as much as I did. I mean, not a barn burner, but a step in the right direction, I would say.
I have my 2 cents into it. This is why I'm going to have a little bit of controversy on this part.
Ooh, some controversy. Okay.
Because, I like that we can go to 2 tracks the same year, but there's a but. It was a snooze fest throughout, like, the first stint of the race. I would say, this is my opinion. Like, I was, like, trying not to fall asleep because that's how bad it was. Usually when it's like Richmond, like Richmond, actually, the fact that they put it for 1 race a year now, it's perfectly fine for the same reason. Like, you have to tune in because you're not watching this track for the rest of the season. Me personally, Martinsville twice a year, no. For me, that's a big no. Eliminate it in the spring, leave it in the playoffs for the same reason that you don't know what's going to happen in the playoffs.
Okay, so are you saying, have you always had that opinion, or did you change that when we got to the next gen?
Next gen. Next gen. I would say next gen, yes.
You see, I kind of have to disagree with you on that one. I don't think Martinsville should have to suffer because NASCAR built a bad short track car. That's on NASCAR. They need to build a better car.
Yes and no. It's just more like, how do I say this? Now, in the next gen era, everybody's trying to play bumper cars to get through. I mean, it's always been like that, but you know what I mean. You know
Yeah,
where I'm coming from with this.
I know
They
what
got to get better on the short track program. Like it's gotten better in the certain parts, but certain parts, like you're making us fall asleep.
I gotcha. And in the meantime, so I want to do something different here, something a little bit new here with the cut line. So if you guys don't know, obviously we like to chat, have opinions, about this race, certain things happen in the race, this and that. But I want to get more of your guys' thoughts. So there's actually a really good way that we could show that. We're going to try something new here. We'll see if this works out. So I actually want to go into the Daily Downforce YouTube, not YouTube, that we're on the Daily Downforce YouTube. But I want to go.
Say, I'm like,
We're going to go into the Daily Downforce Discord, which, by the way, everyone join the Daily Downforce Discord. I believe the link is in the description. And I want to see your guys' thoughts on the race over there as well. So let's just jump straight into it. And I've been in this Discord, the past couple weeks, and it is a great community over at the Daily
I'm gonna
Downforce
have to
Discord.
join that. Now, thank you for letting me know. Now I'm gonna have to join.
Yes, definitely, absolutely. Again, I believe the link is in the description. If not, I'll send it to you personally. But yeah. So here's the Daily Downforce Discord. You're seeing it right here on your screen. 14 new messages and 6-1. Yeah, we're just gonna mark all those as red. Get that out of here. So let's see what some of the comments here. First time since the start of the next gen era. Shout out to what's your name? At just S. First time since the start of the next gen era, Hendrick driver doesn't win the spring Martinsville race.
That is so true. Yes, because this is a 10. Normally in the spring, it's a Hendrick show.
You know
it's
what?
always been the Hendrick show.
You're right. It was Byron in 22, Larson in 23, and Byron again last year.
Yeah, but it was more like Byron was there, Larson was there, Elliott was there, and Bowman.
Yes,
There.
and even Hendrick was still up there. I mean, you had Byron. I mean, well, not Byron was nowhere, but Bowman was up there for a little bit. Larson and Elliott were up there all day long. So Denny definitely had to earn that. And you don't believe it's been 10 years since Denny's won a Martinsville race?
I cannot believe that. Yes. Oh, 2015 was it the one where he took out Elliott towards the end?
No, that was 2017. That was the fall race.
Okay.
Wolf, Denny delivered. Denny definitely delivered. Absolutely. Great job.
All money coming in. The performance is getting so much better the last 2 weeks. That's all I got to say. I got to put my 2 cents into it.
Progressive picked a good time, I will say, to start sponsoring that 11.
Of course, because I was talking about it like, are we going to have this Bell just carrying JGR throughout the whole season? Or,
I mean, Briscoe's been up there. Ty, he had a good race this time, before he got taken out by Reddick. So, I mean, but at least
he still managed to finish the top 15, and I'm not mistaken.
That's a win for that team now.
Yeah, because they're in rebuild mode. I heard it. I heard it all week. I didn't hear it all week. One person specifically said it correctly. And I listen to the morning drive sometimes, so I heard like Mike Bagley said it best. That team is in a rebuild mode. So everybody, I get it that I'm not a big fan of Ty Gibbs, but that team is technically rebuilt, technically is new. So just give it some time.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the Discord really quick. They used the same tires to fall throughout the race, and this race wasn't as good. Well, yeah, I think that has to do more with like the playoffs more than anything. Shout out to you, Ty 50 BMG. Let's see what else we got here.
I'm not correct. My bad. He finished in 25. I'm sorry, guys.
Shout out to Bubba again from S. Shout out to Bubba for another great run. Absolutely. Back-to-back top 5. So the 23 team fire on all cylinders. Something you don't see really too much at the beginning of the year. Elite thanks MTJ. Good to see Hamlin win. Yep. Absolutely. I want to get the 11 against the world flag. Absolutely. Denny against the world. So, yeah, you mentioned it, Kevin, with the Ohio State. And I think someone put it on Discord here earlier. Or they probably put it in the... Oh, they didn't put it on this one. I believe they put it in just a regular chat. Let me see if I can find... Yep, here we go.
Yeah, it's just Ohio. Now you have to put 11 against the world.
That is great. That is great. Ooh, you know what? Let's see if anyone was at Martinsville.
That's what I want to know. Who was at Martinsville? None of my friends were there.
So it doesn't look like anyone was at Martinsville this week, at least not in the at track chat. Anyone got any hot takes from the race? Let's see here. Oh, we might have got something. Herps was so ass before we went to 23-11. He should have won more than one race per season at SHR. I got plenty of opinions on Riley Herps. But we'll get to that maybe in another video. Definitely a lot of Riley Herbst discussion here. Actually, take a look at this one. I don't know if you can see it, Kevin, but at Roxas over here, especially when you consider that almost every new team has struggled hard this year. Front Row Motorsports in the 4, 2311 35, Trackhouse in the 88, and even RFK in the 60. And I think that should just show.
Although the 4 did had a great week last week, but I get where you're coming from.
Yeah. Riley Herbst in the 35. Again, I got my own opinions on that. Trackhouse in the 88. I think Shane is kind of running how we thought he was going to run. You know,
I told everybody from this. I told everybody from this, like every channel that every person that I talk to that knows NASCAR, every podcast of my show that I do on the Nino Sports Network, I said it. It's what he said it too. I think from what I heard from last year, he's learning. You have to give it some time. You don't expect this man to just go up there every single week now. I get it, it's a track house, but it's a learning curve for him. You know, he's new to this world, so.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the chat here real quick. Logano had a good run. Briscoe as well. Indeed, he did have a good run. Tyler Jones, it was a quality race unlike that last half of whatever Saturday night's Xfinity demo race.
First of all,
we'll get to that.
Before we get to that in a minute, I do have to say Joey Logano finally got a top 10 throughout the whole season.
I know, right? It's crazy because Logano has had speed. I feel like he's been faster to start the year than last year, but he's not getting the results. Last year, he just had no speed but got lucky at the end. This year is the exact opposite.
He's a cat with 9 lives. You do not give him extra lives because he's gonna kill you. That's what he did in the playoffs. You gave him an extra life and he won the whole thing.
Absolutely. Before we go, let's just have a quick chat here. SR2448, Herbst is just there to pay for the loss. If that for some reason it came out to be true, I would start laughing nonstop. That would be so hilarious.
No, I think Front Row in 2311, what they're doing is getting that extra charter, just basically doing the big F to NASCAR. Because I think at the end of the day, what NASCAR is doing is not fair. Get rid of the charter system. I've been preaching this for a while now. We don't need a charter system. That's why we have less teams now.
My thing with the charter system is I like the idea of giving the teams value, but make it permanent. Because it's like NASCAR is kind of in this weird bubble where they want to be like stick and ball sports, but they don't want to do what makes stick and ball sports good. They want to do the things that don't make it, like that don't define them, like playoffs or like other things. It's like, but they want to. But when it comes to something like charters, that really do help those sports, or it's permanent charters, they're just like, nah.
I just feel like I think the whole charter system is not good because you're giving teams like less freedom. That's why this is where I'm coming from the 2311 and Front Row side. I feel like they had their reasons not to sign the charter system. The other teams just signed it because they had no other choice to sign it. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into what we're here for. That is above and below the cut line. Now, not really a lot of above the cut line, just things that really stood out this week. I mean, I thought the race was pretty good, but we'll get more into that when we get onto the race weekend rankings. I do have something that's really below the cut line. So again, we'll get to that here. So we're going to, how do I say this? We're going to replace above the cut line this week. And
I actually had it above, but
actually, you know what? Let me hear it. Yeah, you got something to say above the cut line? Let me hear it.
Listen. I'm not a big fan of him either, but I'm gonna say it how it is. Ryan Preece above the cut line this week because Ryan Preece is making hay this season. He may not show it last week at Homestead, but he is showing some speed on that RFK car. And to be honest with you, the 60 bunch has been one of the newer teams that's actually been so much better than the 6 and the 17.
Okay. I like it. I thought Priest would be better, but he qualified towards the back, so I think that kind of hurt him. But yeah, 3 straight top 10s for Ryan Preece. Absolutely. Chat, what do we think about Ryan Preece so far to start this season? Now, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so this is how it's going to work. I'm going to... Actually, let's just cut to the chase. And here it is. So, what I'm doing here is you know, it seems like everyone has been doing this nowadays where, oh, should these drivers be worried? Should this driver be worried? Well, I figured, why don't I jump on the bandwagon for this week? And that is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do a driver panic tier list. So you see here, of course, we're the cut line. We got to say who's above, below, and for the first time this year, who's on the cut line. So above the cut line means you got nothing to worry about. You'll be all right. Everyone's overreacting. On the cut line means, you know, you're probably feeling a little something underneath your seat. Like, okay, maybe things aren't going exactly how you want. You're kind of on the fence. And then below the cut line is hit the panic button. It's time. You know, whole house is on fire. And I got 10 drivers here to put on this list. Now, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to put my drivers on the list. And then we'll move back over here to Nino. And then, Nino, I'll ask you, you know, maybe yours is different than mine. So, ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. So, first driver on here, I'm going to give it to Brad Keselowski. Keselowski, I'm going to put below the cut line. Nino mentioned it earlier where that 6 car just really hasn't been that fast all year. He's being outrun by not just Chris Buescher, but also Ryan Preece for most of the year. And, you know, Keselowski with the next gen card feels like he's gotten better and better as we've moved into every year. Obviously, 2022 was kind of a disaster. 23, he pointed his way into the playoffs, made the round of 12. Last year, he won a race. But really, since the playoffs started, that 6 team has just been on a free fall ever since. And I feel like it's kind of been under the radar because guys like Ty Gibbs, who we will get to later, have kind of just been at a worse free fall. So, Keselowski, I don't even think he's top 30 in points. That 6 car has not been good this year. And Keselowski isn't getting any younger. He's 41 years old. He's only won 1 race since in the next gen era. So I don't see this team making the playoffs unless they win a race. So I'm going to put Brad Keselowski below the cut line. Next driver up on the list, I got Carson Hocevar. Now, it really shocked me to learn that Hocevar was below the top 25 in points because that 77 has had speed. Speed at Vegas, Homestead, Phoenix, you name it. That 77 has been up front more times than not. Almost won Atlanta. Probably would have won it if we didn't get that late race yellow. But he has not gotten the finishes he deserved. The speed has been below the cut line, but the finishes have been below the cut line. Again, like 3 DNFs in like half of the races this year he's, you know, DNF'd. And I don't even think he was really up front at Martinsville either. I didn't hear his name a lot. So besides, you know, him and Chris Buescher getting together. So I like the speed of the 77. I don't love the finishes, so I'm going to put Carson Hocevar on the cut line. I
agree with you. Yep.
We got to see that 77 start converting these top 10 runs into top 10s. Even if it's just a top 15. I need to see finishes from the 77, not just the speed. Because you can have all the speed you want, but if you're not, you know, making good on it, then what's the point?
Yep.
Next driver on the list... Not gonna lie, this guy was... I did put a rage bait a little bit just because, you know, everyone's been talking about him a lot recently. But, Chase Elliott. And, obviously, Chase Elliott's going to be above the cut line. He's top 6 in points. He ran top 5 at Martinsville all day long. So, there's really nothing to worry about grand scheme of things in terms of Chase Elliott. But I will say this. He is the 4th guy at Hendrick. But I want you guys to understand something about the 4th driver at Hendrick nowadays. It's not as much of an insult as people want to make it out to be. Everyone loves to say how Alex Bowman's the 4th guy at Hendrick and he needs to get kicked to the curb for Connor Zillage or Tyler Reddick or Corey Day or Raja or you name it. Bowman's winning races.
I heard Justin Haley too. But
yeah, Justin Haley. I mean, but he's winning races. He's making it past the first round. Would have made it to the round of 8 without a DQ. And did you guys forget how bad the 4th Hendrick car was just even like 5-7 years ago? When Dale Jr., Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson couldn't even make the playoffs as the 4th Hendrick car? Alex Bowman is consistently better than probably most guys in the series. And y'all want to kick him out of the seat. Again, I think some of you guys forget how bad the 4th Hendrick car really used to be.
I'm gonna give you a timeout on this. Not on you, but like I was one of them as well. But I've been doing my research. I did my research before I start doing this again. He's actually, yeah, you're right. He's been very consistent. And then I think is more like everybody expected him to be the 48 car, like Jimmy Johnson. And I realized that he doesn't have to be Jimmy Johnson. He's number 48, Alex Bowman. And he's always been consistent. Yeah, he'll nick a win or two, but again, he has to nick a win because that's the only way. That's the game. But Alex Bowman just has solid rides. If you guys watched Homestead, yeah, he had that bad mistake, but he was up there, found the lead every single time. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there again. And going into the chat here, SR2448. Yeah, I think people forget about Kane. It's hard for any team to have 4 top-notch race cars. JGR, SHR, RFR, all of them had years where there was a clear 4th car. Absolutely. But now that Chase is that 4th guy, I don't hear any of you talking about the 4th Hendrick car. I'm just saying. All y'all sound pretty quiet nowadays. I'm just saying.
All I know is the big hype of Chase Elliott is not slowly fading because they're annoying. They could be annoying, but it's slowly fading, the hype. I mean, he is the 4th Hendrick driver. But that's, again, like you said earlier, that's not a bad thing. He's still up there in points.
Exactly. Again, it's not bad. He's 6 in points. If the 4th Hendrick car is 6 in points, that's really, really good.
We never see the 4th Hendrick driver in the top 10 in points, so that's a good thing.
I mean, look at the 4th JGR driver, Ty Gibbs, outside the top 30. The 4th, I think, actually, no, those are only 2. Yeah,
only 2 teams have 4 cars.
Yeah.
Well, technically, if you want to call it a 4 Penske car, but yeah. We're not going to disrespect the Wood Brothers today.
But yeah, I mean, Chase Elliott, he's clearly above the cut line. I wish he would have more winning speed. Today's a good indication that he can. I thought he'd have a really good year this year, and he's kind of been... He's just been Chase Elliott nowadays, where it's just been disappointing. And I know there might be some people out there who say, oh, it's the next gen car. Well, as a race car driver, your job is
5 years. He won, sorry to cut you off again. 5 races he won in the next gen era, even though one of them was a DQ. So I don't want to hear this next gen business because he did have 5 wins in the first year of the next gen.
Yeah, and another thing too is like, as a race car driver, your job is to adapt to different styles of cars, different styles of equipment. And we've seen Larson, Byron, Denny, even, like these guys, they can adapt. That's not NASCAR's fault that Chase Elliott is incapable of adapting to a car as good as other guys can. That's not a what's the word? That's not a fault of NASCAR. That's a fault of the driver. If a driver can't adapt, that's a problem. I'm going to go a little bit to a different series here, but that's what got Daniel Ricciardo kicked out of F1 because he couldn't adapt to anything that wasn't a Red Bull or a 2020 Renault. So because of that, he got booted out of the sport, and that's his fault. We don't say that, all the other series teams, they just couldn't make a car that fit his style. He had to adapt.
And that's why other drivers are getting retired now. Like that's why Martin Truex Jr. is retired. That's why Harvick retired. Etc. Like,
well, those guys were like in their 40s. They were going to retire, and eventually, Chase is like not even 30 yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get off of Chase Elliott for now. It's nothing. Bowman is highly underrated. Absolutely. I think Chase being the 4th driver should just highlight how good Hendrick is, rather than there's a problem with the driver. Speaking of a problem with the driver, Daniel Suarez. This has been another guy who... This has been another driver who, this year had more speed than last year. Obviously, he won Atlanta in the spring last year, but really hasn't really done much since. He's been slightly better this year compared to last year, but... I mean, again, Daniel, I'm going to put him below the cut line.
Yeah, I was going to say below the cut line because I'm just panic mode. I still think Pitbull leaving, Red Bull money coming in, it hasn't really worked out for him ever since that announcement came through, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and the thing with Daniel is it's like he's been a little bit faster, but again, like he's still on that playoff cut line. He hasn't, he's been closer to Chastain, but I just think that's more Trackhouse having less speed rather than, Suarez catching up to Chastain. And SVG, we'll talk about him. Do I have I got SVG on this list. Speaking of which, we'll just move on to SVG. I'm going to put him on the cut line for now because I know people are panicking, saying that he's running 30th at Martinsville, 30th at Homestead, 30th at Vegas, but that's what we expected at SVG in his rookie year in Cup. We expected him
Blazer, yes. I did not expect him to do anything this year, and I said it a bunch of times. I do have him in the playoffs because obviously he has a road course. You know, he's gonna win one of those road courses. But again, like in the ovals, he's still gonna get better. But yes, I don't think people should be panicking.
I mean, yeah, you said it. I mean, just we all know why SVG's in the Cup Series. Watch out for the road courses. We knew he wasn't going to do anything on the ovals. So he's performing what I expected. So, you know, speed, yeah, you'd like to see him improve, but no one was expecting him to do anything at the ovals. It would have been nice, but no one was expecting it. SVG is here for the road courses. So because of that, I'm putting him on the cut line. Joey Logano. Talked about him earlier, so I won't spend too much time on Joey Logano. I'm going to put him on the cut line. Again, kind of in that same vein as Hocevar. I do like the speed I've seen coming out of the T22 team. I don't like the finishes. I mean, Nino, you mentioned it earlier how this was Joey Logano's first top 10 of the year, and we're in race 7 of the season. That is not good in any way, shape, or form, especially coming out of the defending champ. Again, Joey, we know he turns it on in the playoffs, so if he gets one win in the regular season, okay, he's locked in, and then you don't really got to pay attention to the 22 until playoff time. We've seen that really since the next-gen era began. So I would like to see...
in general.
I would like to see that 22, you know, get a few more top 10s and top 5s, you know, really convert that speed. But right now, I'm going to say that Logano is on the cut line. Moving on to the chat just for a little bit. SR2448, again, shout out to you, my man. Appreciate you coming on. All SVG needs is one road course. Exactly. That's why he's here. We don't need... We all know why SVG is in the Cup Series right now. And, again, turns his whole season around. I mean, yeah, we saw with Harrison Burton at Daytona last year. It just takes one win, and that's it.
I do want to put, if I'm Harrison Burton right now, I'm watching Brad every single weekend because, again... Ford seat might be opening up soon if Brad decides to step away.
I don't know. Byrne would go back to Cup. I don't. Then again, I don't know who would take that 6 car.
The only saying my 3 prospects because obviously they're in the Ford development camp. So I would say like either Burton, Sam Mayer. I'm gonna get heated for this. Sheldon Creed.
Sheldon Creed.
He's a Ford development driver. That's the only thing I could think of. Because the season they ain't going to Cup. The season going nowhere near Cup.
Hold on. We need to bring this screen on where both of us are talking now. No more back and forth. We're gonna step away from the tier list for now. Yes. Sheldon Creed, the guy who has never won an Xfinity race. Who?
I mean, 14 top 2s. It tells you something.
And guess what? None of them are at the top spot. If he can't win Xfinity, what makes you think he's going to do anything in Cup?
I mean, Riley Herbst barely won 3 races in Xfinity, and he's been there for, how many years now? And he has a Cup ride, so anything is possible.
We know why Riley Herbst has a Cup ride. We know why Riley Herbst has a Cup ride.
But again, yeah, I'm only saying it based on the Ford development that we have right now, because Lane Riggs is not ready for Cup. Wait, I forgot one more person. Chandler Smith, maybe.
Chandler Smith, I would rather have Chandler Smith in that car more than Sheldon Creed personally. And,
I forgot about them. Yes, that's why I was like, wait, hold on, I had to rephrase
Ford's
that
pipeline just isn't strong. Like they do not have a strong pipeline right now.
Nope. They never really did the last few years because unfortunately the big teams like Penske, they stopped caring about that Xfinity program ever since Cindric came to Cup. So that's one.
Yeah, they don't need anyone.
All their truck drivers are above 30, so that's another thing too.
All right, let's go to the chat right here. It's nothing. Shout out to you, my man, and shout out to you for taking over hosting duties while we were at Homestead last week. So shout out to you, my man. Everyone, give It's Nothing a W in the chat real quick while we listen to what he's got to say. I would have at least thought SVG would have done decent at Martinsville. So did I. I mean, road course rangers are usually strong at Martinsville, and he was nowhere. So that shocked me a lot. I feel bad for Sheldon Creed, truck champion. He is. He was good in trucks, yes. But I mean, in Xfinity, he's done nothing. But then again, I mean, the Cup car is more in line with the truck than an Xfinity car. So maybe in theory, he would do better in a Cup car than an Xfinity car. So I'd have to see it. I have to see it.
Then again, Daniel Hemrick has one win in the Xfinity Championship, a.k.a. a championship.
He
does. I'm going to go like that.
Oh, that's funny. SR2448, I wish someone would take a look at Ty Majeski. People have said that trucks are closer to Cup cars than Xfinity. I think Majeski's a little too old at this point, but then again, I mean, he's the kind of guy I feel like Brad would take a chance on. I feel like Majeski, because I mean, Priest is kind of like Majeski, kind of that short track ace. So I could see Majeski taking the 6 car. Brad really likes him.
Yeah, I forget that is true. I can actually agree with you on that. Maybe Ty Majeski. Honestly, that would be like a dream come true if you see one of those guys come to Cup, like a Ty Majeski or Ben Rhodes coming into Cup. That would be nice,
That would.
But
finally, here it's nothing again. Chase couldn't win. 9 second place finishes. Don't count him out. Don't count him out for bad luck, I guess. But I mean, 9 second place finishes in Cup compared to 14 in Xfinity. Cup and Xfinity are 2 different animals. I mean, the competition difference is insane.
But I just don't think Sheldon Creed didn't help his case either, though, by switching teams every other year. That was another thing too. So
yeah, I mean, he's got to hold on to a team also.
Well, he got booted off at JGR. That's what I was hearing. That he got booted off.
If he would win, maybe he wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's finish up here with this tier list. We'll go by these pretty quick. Kyle Busch, I'm gonna put him
He's checked out.
I'm gonna put him.
I was gonna say he's checked out.
I'm gonna put him on the cut line. He had that streak of 3 second top 10 finishes. Was fast at Coda, so I think he could be really good at the road courses this year. He's had speed, well, especially not these last 2 weeks. Homestead, he was nowhere. Martinsville, he was nowhere. So maybe I should put him below the cut line. But right now, Kyle Busch, I think he's got 1 more week on the cut line. If he has a stinker at Darlington, I'm gonna put him below
the cut line.
Yes.
I do want to say this. Sorry. Spire 2026 truck program. He'll be there as a full-time driver. That's just my opinion. He's on a contract here, nowhere else to go, because every seat is basically full. So I think he'll go back down to that truck series to get that championship. That's just me.
I think he'd go to trucks, if anything. Noah Gragson, I'm putting him below the cut line. He's had speed, but like on and off, and he's like 27th in points. That 4 car, they have not gotten the finishes they deserve, but again, 27th in points is really concerning, especially, I know it's an expansion front row car, but I'm not seeing a lot of promise too much out of Gregson in the 4. They need to convert these finishes because 27th in points, especially how good you were at SHR last year, is very, very concerning in my opinion. And finally,
I agree with you.
Finally, we got the final 2 Monster Energy cars in. Let's just cut to the chase. You're both below the cut line.
I agree.
We'll start off with Riley Herbst. I'll stop beating around the bush. I don't think Riley Herbst is a Cup Series driver. I never believed he was a Cup Series driver. 3 wins in JGR and SHR equipment, in my opinion, is embarrassing. Yeah, he won twice last year, but, I mean, couldn't make it past one of the rounds. Missed the playoffs in 1 year as an SHR car. He's only in the 2311 car because he has money. I thought that maybe he would do decent for his standards this year, which is anywhere from 25th to 28th in points, but he's outside the top 30. If he finishes outside the top 30, I can very easily see him getting kicked out in place of a Corey Heim for next year, because I think at that point, Toyota would just tell Denny Hamlin, dude, you got to do something. Either he's going to take over the 11 from you, or he's going to take over that 35 from Herbst, because Herbst can't even finish inside the top 30 in points.
Well, Heim and JGR don't get along, so that's not going to happen. Heim's going to definitely go to that 35 car. And I thought Riley Herbst was ready for Cup, to be honest with you. I thought he was more than ready after what I saw the last few years doing those sub races at Super Speedway is different, but you know what I mean. Doing bits on Talladega, like pushing Blaney for the win, and at Daytona he was pushing Blaney. So it's like I thought he was ready, but yeah, if he finishes below. If he finished 30 and worse, he should be gone for Corey Heim. I think Corey Heim is ready to go to Cup, but it's not going to be with JGR. For sure, that's not going to happen because Corey Heim and JGR don't get along. Something happened a few years ago that him and Ty Gibbs got at it, and they haven't been any friends ever since. That's why he never went to Xfinity on the JGR side. That's why he's doing sub races for Sam Hunt Racing. That's just how I saw it.
Yeah, I agree. SR 2448 Say what you want about Daniel Hemrick, but the dude pointed his way to 3 Final Fours. Herbst never got close. I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm not a big Daniel Hemrick guy myself, but Hemrick has done more, even with less than Riley Herbst. And finally, Ty Gibbs. I don't need to say much. I mean, you guys have heard it on broadcasts from other YouTubers. I mean, you name it. He's just been on a free fall. He did have speed at Martinsville, which was good. It's a step in the right direction, but I need to see more than a top 15 speed out of a JGR car, especially because he was touted as, like my buddy Will says, the greatest NASCAR prospect of all time.
You said Connor Zilic wrong, but yeah, carry on.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Ty Gibbs got to figure it out soon. I don't think he's going to get kicked. I think he has a lot of talent. Again, people want to act like, oh, he's the Silver Spoon kid. That's why, he's so bad. They forget that he won an Xfinity championship as a rookie. They forget that he made the playoffs last year. And just something's got to be figured out with that 54 team. I don't think hiring a rookie crew chief with a young, brash driver was a good idea by JGR. But, I mean, we'll see. If Martinsville can be a building block for the 54, there might be some promise. But outside the top 30 points, nowhere near close to have race winning speed. He's got to be below.
You know where they messed up on that too with the rookie crew chief. I know he doesn't want to come back to Cup, but it would have been nice for him to kind of convince him to come back to Cup, like a Scott Cividelli, veteran crew chief on that 20 car for Tony Stewart for so many years. He's with Corey Heim now, but yes, that would have been a perfect hire. That would have been for him and Ty Gibbs getting along, because again, you need a veteran crew chief.
Yeah, I agree. So here we go. There is my panic tier again. Only one guy I think is above the cut line, Chase. I think he's fine. Through 4 guys on the cut line, in my opinion. Kyle Busch is very, very close to being below the cut line. And these guys are all below the cut line. These guys, they got to start worrying. They got to start throwing a Hail Mary. These guys, they could coast maybe for a little bit, and then Chase, he's fine. But, what do you think, Nino, about my tier list?
I honestly feel like it was fair. You made it fair to the team, to be honest with you, because one person in that list is perfectly fine above the cut line, because everybody else has just been hit or miss, hit or miss. Joey Logano would have been above the cut line if he would have had some of those top 10s. Same thing with SVG. I'm surprised you didn't put him down, but then again, you shouldn't put him down because he's expecting not to do well. We expected this from SVG. Carson Hocevar could have been above the cut line if Carson Hocevar would have had those, like you said, the speed is there, but the finishing is not there. And for the bottom tier list, I think it's very accurate to the team because Brad has not performed. Suarez, I think he just threatened that his seat's going to be taken. Remember, he only signed a 1-year deal for the renewal, so his contract is up at the end of the year. Who else we got there? Noah should have done so much better because the front row is tier 1 Ford. And the other 2 guys, the Monster Bunch, same thing. Should have done so much better. I mean, Riley Herbst from the get-go, I thought he was going to be so much better than I thought he would, but it is a 2311 car after all. But I still think, again, it's still new. Remember, that whole new team is still brand new, too. It's a 3rd car that they had to build, basically, so it's going to take some time. That's what I say.
Yeah, I agree. So there we go. That's the tier maker. And I mentioned I didn't really have anything really above the cut line, but I do have something that is below the cut line. And let's just get to it here. Yeah, so the Xfinity race at Martinsville. So here's my thing, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here while you guys see this embarrassment of a finished play on the screen here. So, I always feel like this. I feel like the Xfinity Series is always going to have an advantage over the Cup Series in terms of just sheer excitement. Because it's a development series at the end of the day. You got guys who are really just trying to figure it out. Or you got guys who are trying to prove that they deserve to go back to the top level. Maybe an Eric Almirola or Justin Allgaier, for example. But then mostly you got guys like, Sammy Smith, who you see about here, is just going to ship Taylor Gray like it's no tomorrow. And then just allow Austin Hill just to sneak by and get the win. So I feel like the Xfinity Series, because it's a developmental series, or that's what it's advertised as a developmental series, it's always going to have that slight edge over the Cup Series, because the Cup guys are professionals. These are the best in the sport. They know what they're doing. But at the same time, when you see, switch over to it, we'll see when,
Smith is there.
see here real quick. I mean, I'm going to ask you guys really quick in the chat. We'll get to Nino back here in just a moment, but look, he's like a car length already ahead of Taylor Gray. What's the difference between what Sammy Smith did to Taylor Gray and what Austin Dillon did to Joey Logano at Richmond last year? Not a lot. Sammy Smith just a complete disregard for Taylor Gray. And I mean, it's just an embarrassment. And of course, the whole day was just an embarrassment. You know, drivers were getting mad at each other left and right because there was no regard. But we're going to go on my usual, I don't even know what I call this nowadays. It's like my shameless plug, if you will, of my Twitter. But let me see if I can go down here for a second. So, I mean, yeah, there's this one right here. Let me see if I can just bring this down for you guys. I mean, you heard my reaction here where he said, like, I hope Dale Jr. just cusses him out. Because Dale Jr., he does not tolerate this type of racing. Now, how will he act? Because, you know, Sammy Smith is his driver. He's driving the the iconic 8 font. Maybe he'll take it easy on him. I don't know. But I really hope Dale Jr. just ends up chewing him out in the competition meeting. I mean, just listen to this. Look at what Toby Christie says here. He says the tipping point to him and Gray was Gray flipping him off during the red flag. It's Martinsville. Of course, tempers are going to be flaring. But if getting flipped off is, in your definition, enough to wreck him and the whole field, I think I said it pretty good here. You are not a Cup driver mentally. You are nowhere ready to be a Cup driver mentally. There's a reason why a lot of even the pay drivers, even a guy like Riley Herbst, he's not going to do that in the Cup Series. Ty Gibbs nowadays isn't going to do that in the Cup Series because when you're a Cup driver, you have to understand you are the best. You're perceived as the best in the world. So you have that high regard. You're not going to do something so childish, so ridiculous. Oh, he flipped me off because he flipped me off, so I'm going to wreck half the field. That's something a teenager in high school would say when they're going go-karting at K1 speed. Not a driver in the second tier series of stock car racing. Really? You got flipped off, so you wrecked him and half the field.
I mean, it's no difference what Ty Gibbs did 2 years ago. 3 years ago almost. But yes, it's Martinsville, unfortunately. I know tempers are I know something was gonna happen because it happened the entire weekend. If you watch the Truck Series on Friday, everybody was doing that, bro. Caden Honeycutt was like driving like the race of his life, and Ty Majeski getting loose, taking him out. And yes, this is like, if you're in the front, you know your car's loose, you gotta care, calm down. But then Sammy said, "There's no excuse, man. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, if it's not your day, you should just at least not try to take the driver out." Because you could make an excuse that your car was loose, make an excuse, but there's no excuse here. Like the way he did it, and man, it sucked. It sucked for Taylor Gray because Taylor Gray was having like the race of his life, man. And another thing you did say about it is that the mental series. We have 10 drivers that are rookies in this series, by the way. But Sammy Smith is not one of them.
I mean, yeah, you said it. So, I thought this finish was disgraceful, terrible. I mean,
and Austin Hill getting the win that he deserved, I guess, from 2023. Even though, you know, he should have not tried to take out his teammate at that time, because, you know, Sheldon Creed was the one that race, but if it wasn't for, you know, Austin Hill doing Austin Hill shenanigans, like he was like not happy with him throughout the whole season, and then he tries that and could have blocked for him, but he didn't. He tried to take him out completely.
I've been doing this more recently on Twitter.
Hmm.
Basically saying was this a good race or not? But with my little twist to it. So above the cut line would obviously be good, below the cut line would be bad. And I mean, I think this speaks volumes. 85% saying it was below the cut line. I agree. I think it should be more. I don't know what these 14% are thinking, but I mean,
It was not a good race. Usually it is good. The Xfinity Series is always good. Like I said, it's better than Cup at times. But this was not a great race. Connor Simmons got taken out too and he wasn't even at no fault either. Then you have Jed Burton over here throwing tantrums because he's having a little battle with Daniel Dye because Daniel Dye is better than him, and he's over here saying that he's not that good. I'm like, bro, like you're racing for Jordan Anderson for a reason.
so that's my below the cut line again. Just a disgrace of a finish to the Xfinity Series to everyone. NASCAR said they'll look into Sammy Smith, and God, I just hope they throw the book at him.
They're
Just
not
let
gonna do anything at him, bro. They're not gonna do nothing. They're gonna probably give him a little fine. They're not gonna do nothing. In my opinion, they're not gonna do anything, bro. It's Junior. It's Junior's team. It's the iconic 8.
We'll see. So let's move on to our race weekend ranking. So, as usual, the link is in the description if you guys want to follow along to give me your race weekend rankings. Where did you guys have each race? We have a little bit of a surprise for you guys this week compared to most weeks. Well, we'll just get started. So we got 3 races today. We got the truck race, Xfinity race, and the Cup race to go over today. So let's get started. I mean, we already talked about the Xfinity race has to be below the cut line. Just a completely disregard in terms of just craftsmanship of racing, you name it. Just everything involved was terrible. The finish was awful. No respect for anyone, you name it. It was a terrible, terrible race from start to finish. One of the worst I've ever seen.
And that's why they took 14 years to bring back Martinsville for Xfinity.
Yeah, that's true. They probably shouldn't have gone back to Xfinity at this point. For the first time, I think all year long, I don't have the Cup race at number 1.
No.
The Cup race is going number 2 for the first time in race weekend rankings history. Before we move on, I just want to give a shout out to SR2448 again. It's a shame that the best race cars in NASCAR are given to the worst drivers. Absolutely. It's nothing. A total disgrace for racing. What's so bad about finishing second? Like, come on, just accept the second and move on. Go win next week. Exactly. But I mean, the Cup race, the first half I thought was actually really, really good. The different strategies, the tire work coming into play. If you did have the fresher tires, you could work your way through the field. But then as the race got on in that second half and the track got cooler and the grip became higher, it kind of just got lackluster. Denny ran away with it. Wasn't a lot of passing towards the end. Again, it's a step in the right direction, which I came into this race just asking for that. Give me a step in the right direction, and that's what we got. Again, it's a good race. I'd probably give it like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10. It was a good race. It wasn't bad. There's still work to be done, but a step in the right direction. I compare it to like a better version of Phoenix, if you will. Which means, for the first time, the Cup race is a number 1. It belongs to the Truck Series, the Marine Corps 250, and I thought it was a good race. I thought there was more action throughout the field. Yeah, Corey Heim ran away with it for a lot of it, but then there was a lot of calamity. Once Corey Heim got taken out of the picture, you didn't really know who was going to win that race. And seeing Daniel Hemrick having to battle Tyler Ankrum for the win, I thought that was incredible. We got a better finish out of it, and in my opinion, the finish holds a little more weight than the rest of the race. If both races are kind of even, I'm going to pick the better finish more times than not. I think it was when Johnny on the track came on, where I said that if majority of the race is good, but the finish is lackluster, and if the race is lackluster, but the finish is better, I'll still take the former more so than the latter. But in a case like this, where both are kind of the same, but one has a better finish, I'm going to pick the better finish. So, truck race at number 1, Cup number 2, and Xfinity number 3. Those are our race weekend rankings.
Yep. I agree with you, man. We have to put something that's up there. But if I have to rank it, none of them goes above the cut line because same thing with trucks. Everybody was getting taken out in the front. Everybody was getting loose in the front, like Ty Majeski, for example. But yes, I mean, if it was up to me, it would be mid for a truck. Cup would be mid, and obviously Xfinity below. That's just me, because I know it's above the cut line. We have to put it above the cut line, but for what I saw from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, none of them deserve to be in the top because of what's going on. But yes, it could be better. Obviously, it's Martinsville. You don't know what to expect, but we need to get better at this. We need to get better at the finishing, because you taking out another driver is not going to do you any good. It's not going to do you any good for the team, because the team has to pay for this at the end of the day. But truck will be number one if I had to put number one, because we have to put number one. It is above the cut line for a reason.
So let the record be known. Nino would have no number one. 2 guys finishing on in second and 1 guy in third. That is funny. Let's move on to the 2025 tier list here. So this is what we got so far after 7 weeks into the season. Still only 1 race in the S tier, and that is COTA. 3 meh races. It's nothing. Yeah, I mean, I thought the 2 were good. Like, again, 6 out of 10, 6.5, 7 out of 10. Debatable. Anyway, let's just jump into it. We only got 1 race in the F tier. That's the Phoenix race for ARCA.
You had ARCA in there? Oh man.
Oh yeah, we do everything. We do the top 4.
I was laughing because ARCA in the bottom list. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, we're definitely putting the Xfinity Martinsville race here. I'm actually going to put it below ARCA because at least ARCA was a little bit more respectable. I put ARCA there because I didn't like the rules, but at least the drivers were okay.
I actually like the rules from ARCA. You have to finish the race on the green. This is something that NASCAR should take a look at.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you guys want to know, yeah, go back and listen to my Phoenix review, but I think that, long story short, I think that is one of the worst rules in motorsports. If a race finishes under yellow, okay, it's racing. It happens. We as a fans are not entitled to a green flag finish.
I said the opposite. We're paying money and we're watching this every single week.
Okay,
that's just me.
Okay, so if, let's say, for example, only 5 cars are racing at the finish, only 5 cars are racing at the finish out of 40 because we had 12 overtimes. And everyone is spread out because someone could draft off of one another, but we got a green flag. I mean, look, William Byron won Daytona. I was there, you were there, but it was a green flag finish, but the finish was just lame. Or are we entitled to a bad green flag? Just because it's green flag doesn't mean it's going to be good.
I mean, if you watch Nashville 12 months, almost 12 months now.
So you want more Nashvilles?
Actually, you know what? If it makes the racing product a little bit better, then try to win this race. You still got a chance. Like, you see from this actor Jim Carrey goes, does it mean I still got a chance? Yes.
Shout out to Jim Carrey, Dr. Eggman. All right, move. So let's see here. I think both of these races are C tier races. I don't think they're the greatest races in the world. So I'm gonna put. I think the Cup race is better than the Xfinity race, and I'm gonna put these 2 at the top of C tier. So this is what we're looking at right here for the 2025 race weekend rankings season. Again, link in the description. Show me your race weekend rankings on Twitter. Tag us at Armani DePaul at Daily Downforce. This is what mine is looking so far. 1 race in the S tier, the Cup race at COTA. Couple in the A tier, couple in the B tier. A lot of C tier. Thankfully, we haven't had that many F tier races or D tier races besides ARCA and, this Martinsville Xfinity race. But Nino, what do you think?
I like it. I like the list, actually. It's really, really good. You put COTA up there, so we still have some hope on the road course world, because, I like the road course world. But yes.
Absolutely. There we go, folks. Those are our 2025 race weekend rankings, the season as a whole. What would you guys think? Link in the description. Tell me what you think. Now, before we go, you guys already know what you need to do. See Nino's screen right there. See it right there. Be right here on my screen, like to the right. Nope. Yeah, that way. Look at my pen. Look where my pen is turning right here. Yeah, right there. See that YouTube icon? Nino Sports Network, y'all know what you do. Call it a raid. Call what you want. Everyone, go subscribe to Nino Sports Network. They got a lot of good coverage over there. Nino, while the chat and everyone here is just going to, flood your YouTube channel, tell us what you do. Tell us what you do, why you do it, and why your favorite driver is the greatest driver in the world.
Well, okay, so the greatest driver in the world, what I like about Kyle Larson so much, he does the extracurricular activities. Me personally, I like that. I like that from a driver that's willing to go to another world and do what he does. Obviously, he's a dirt driver. That's his world. But the fact that he took the initiative to go to IndyCar last year, and Stanley did well. If it wasn't for that issue that he had on pit road, then he would have been probably contend for the win, to be honest with you. And I do this because I love NASCAR. I love sports in general. That's what's called Sports Network. I also do Premier League. Eventually, we're going to expand. I did football throughout the whole NFL season. We were doing football. I'm trying to also get. I was able to talk to one of the pit crew members, one of the gas mans, as well. So, like I said, we're just expanding. But mainly it's gonna be motorsport, but it is Sports Network, so we're gonna give you a variety of everything.
Awesome. That is awesome to hear. Again, you guys saw his YouTube channel while he was chatting. So go ahead, subscribe to Nino Sports Network. Nino, thank you so much for coming on. We've been trying to get you on for a few weeks now. Finally able to get you on this week. So thanks for coming on, man. This was a blast.
I'm gonna give you guys my little motto though before we go. Like how I say, like, subscribe, do what y'all gotta do. Tell a friend and tell a friend. We're here. We're live. We got you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. If you guys want to follow me on my social medias, you see it below my webcam at Armando DePaul, Instagram, obviously, the shameless plugs on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and TikTok as well. That's going to do it for us, folks. We're going to wave the checkered flag. This is the Cut Line. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next week.